This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service. We are broadcasting live from KFAB Studios in downtown Dundee, and we're excited to tell you that you're not going to find another show anywhere in Omaha that talks about the things we discuss, and that is economic development, construction, real estate, really anything related to Omaha becoming more vibrant, more prosperous. You'll have a lot of fun listening to it, and you want to thank our sponsors, Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics, for making it possible. Without any further ado, one of my favorite parts of the week is introducing my legendary co-host, a real estate deal-making machine and all-around interesting fellow, Trenton Magid.
Thanks, Jeff. Just trying to keep up with you. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, good morning to you, Trenton. And hey, we've got a recommendation for you guys today. The Countryside Village Art Fair is taking place today and tomorrow. This is the longest running art fair in the metro area. It'll be today from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and tomorrow from 10 to 5. And when you're there, you got to go see our own Brad Williams. You know Brad. He's on the show all the time, official photographer of the Grow Omaha show. He will have a booth right in front of the Casual Pint, which is ironically one of Brad's favorite places in Countryside Village. Right in front of the Casual Pint, stop by, see his beautiful photography, and say hi to Brad.
Absolutely. And Jeff, we had a great time last night. Congratulations to the city of La Vista, Mayor Doug Kindig, who's a friend of ours, has been on the show numerous times. And congratulations to the whole staff, Brenda Gunn, Bruce Fountain, Chris, the planning director, excuse me. Basically, we went to the Astro, which is part of La Vista City Center, and saw a Journey cover band, a Kurt Cobain Nirvana cover band, but there's a lot of people there, and that's a beautiful facility, the Astro Theater. Doug Kindig has done a great job. He is running unopposed. That's how good of a job he's doing. And
no one would dare challenge him.
Today is the parade. I think it starts at 10. Go to City Hall area, and there is a lot going on there. And Chris Solberg is who I'm thinking of, city planner, and they all run a great show down in La Vista. And I'm so excited, not just for the city center area, but for the Southport area and all of La Vista. So thank you.
That was a fun event last night, and you and I were able to take Stephanie and Amy with us. And that is, I feel bad admitting this, but that's the first time I had ever been inside the new Astro Theater or the adjacent amphitheater. And wow, nice.
Yeah,
place.
And I went there during construction, but they're getting some neat tenants there. And it's just so fun to see. And I've done a lot of work, especially in the Southport area, but just to see businesses go to La Vista and to see how the city is run and watch it grow.
Well, let's go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, 114th and Dodge. Their office is right there in the middle of everything. You can find them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. They do mortgages, as the name would indicate, FHA, VA, conventional mortgages, even some specialty mortgages. But if you are thinking about getting your piece of the American dream, or perhaps a nicer, newer, bigger, differently located version of the American dream, they'll help you with all of that. They sit down with you, find out what is important to you, learn your unique circumstances, and then because they're not a bank, they can shop lenders and find the best lender for you. And they've been doing it for 30 years. Highly recommend them. We know Holly Schneiderwin, the owner, very, very well. Been a good friend of ours for a long time and a sponsor of the show for, like 8 or 9 years. And couldn't recommend them more. Safe choice if you're looking for a lender, Eagle Mortgage. All right, so many things in the news. First of all, we have a new mixed-use development to be known as Shadow View Village, which is going into an undeveloped piece of land northeast of 200th and West Center Road. So not 204th. You got to go east a few blocks, so it's northeast of 200th and Center. Plans call for a 240-unit apartment complex. There's going to be some office, some retail space, a freestanding daycare building, and a unique feature of the development will be 40 additional residential units on top of some of the commercial space. Glad to see some of that type of development in the suburbs.
And that's very unique. Now, what's interesting about that is it's almost an infill. If you think about it, the city kind of grew around it. 204th Street, that Highway 31-6, what's going on around there, and most of that land is all in developers' hands. And what's unique about this one is putting residential, whether it's condos or apartments, above retail. That's what a lot of people think that Village Point missed. And back then they weren't doing it as much. It's a lot harder to develop. It's a lot harder to finance. But imagine Village Point with apartment and hotels above the retail.
Now that 200th Street is infill development, Trenton and Jeff are officially old. A developer plans to subdivide 9402 Pacific Street into residential development. Had been a house on a large 2-acre lot there, torn down. Was originally going to be row houses. Now it is going to be 8 single-family residences. New cul-de-sac going to be built just off of Pacific Street. The lots will range from 8 to 10,000 square feet, and the houses will be about 2,600 square feet. And that, my friend, truly is an infill development.
And we're seeing more and more of that, especially on Pacific Street. Lockwood is that project just east of Westside High School and just north of 90th and Pacific. There's houses there. So it's good use. We're getting more dense in the center of our city.
Well, we can't guarantee that the Huskers will win the championship every year, but the Big Ten Conference announced earlier this week that its conference baseball tournament and championship game will remain at Charles Schwab Field, Omaha, through the 2027 season. Now, the 2024 tournament was just last week. I know a lot of you probably went to the game. Huskers won it in a very close game Sunday morning, and crowd was pretty impressive. A very, very large crowd for a Big Ten Conference championship game. And then here's something to make you feel very good about the city that you have chosen to live in. U.S. News ranked Omaha as the 18th best place to live in 2024 among the 150 largest cities in the United States. The study factored each city's desirability, job market, cost of living, and quality of life. Now, the top 5 were Naples, Florida, Boise, Idaho, Colorado Springs, Greenville, South Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina. But Omaha fared very well.
Well, I'm guessing that the affordability is a little bit better than Naples, Florida. And
might be right.
I prefer Forbes Home that voted us number 1.
Yeah, they voted us recently the number 1 city to move to in 2024, which Omaha is great.
We'll take both of those.
We love Omaha. We're Omaha cheerleaders. We're natives. We have, for crying out loud, we have a show called Grow Omaha. But if you would have told me that someday Omaha would be Forbes' number 1 city to move to in 2024, I would have been like, wow, that's pretty cool.
What are we missing?
I'd be surprised.
No, we love our city.
The city of Omaha received $2 million in federal money to help pay for a pedestrian walkway through UNMC. This is going to be called the Midtown Medical Center Bikeway Project. Cool title. I like that. Midtown Medical Center Bikeway Project. It'll include a very impressive bike and pedestrian bridge over Saddle Creek Road at Emily Street. So this will basically take people from the heart of the proper, normal, traditional UNMC campus into the west of Saddle Creek campus that's under development. It'll also include a bridge over Leavenworth Street at the Field Club Trail. Construction should start next year, and completion will probably take a couple of years.
Given the cost of construction projects, Jeff, I'm guessing it's more than $2 million. That's part of the financing.
I believe about 12 or 13, and a lot of the money came from a federal grant from a year or two ago, and this is basically a pile-on. So the feds are being nice to us. So let's use it to build some cool projects.
Yeah, let's talk about projects that are less than $50 million once in a while.
It's hard. Well, and in our town, we specialize. We get excited starting at $100 million.
Yes.
Like Joslin, the Tanaska Center, the Kiewit, the Steelhouse Omaha. Those are all over 100. The Central Flagship Library. If you got at least 100 million in, Trenton and Jeff get excited. Before that, it's just a brief. It's just a news brief. Just kidding. The Nebraska Medical Center, speaking of a bikeway through the Nebraska Medical Center, here's more news related to the Med Center. The Med Center has a proposal before city planning to rezone an area southwest of 42nd and Farnham. This would allow redevelopment in the area. We don't know the details yet, but we keep hearing that the Med Center has big plans for that area. But in the short run, and very significant, plans call to vacate that jug handle turn. A jug handle is like when you have to kind of go onto another street to go turn. So if you're familiar with that 42nd and Farnham area, right at 42nd Street, if you're eastbound, you're forced over to Harney Street. That's all going to go away. And it'll just be a normal, easy flowing, nice two-way Farnham Street, not that far in the future.
Great.
And that is your news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. Going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, we're going to bring on our friend Heath Mello, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Greater Omaha Chamber. We're going to talk Omaha growth and development with Heath and just kind of catch up, and we know it'll be a fascinating conversation. So stay with us and enjoy it. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Nailed it.
We're ready. We're off and running. So I just start off kind of like 30,000-foot view, what's new, and then if there's anything you want to make sure we get in there, we'll do our best.
Okay.
Re-entering the Las Vegas atmosphere this September. Stream live only on Hulu.
So 8-year-old playing ball. My son is 18 and was playing his last summer.
Okay,
ball.
nice.
Yeah,
All right.
It was not that long ago when he was 8.
Okay, you're
a lot of past balls going behind the catcher.
Look no further than Riz.
He used to come hang out with us here during the show.
Oh, we are. It's been fun to watch. It really has. But it's intense. Like this has been kind of an experience to watch from like 6-7 to like now 8U. It's like there's like a level of intensity, man.
It's
like
a big jump up.
It's a big jump
Yeah.
up. Like that people.
How many kids do you have? How many kids do you have?
Oh, we have 2. 8-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter. So second grader, fourth grader, now going to the third, going to the fifth.
Yeah, those are fun ages.
Fun ages. It is.
Yeah,
So,
enjoy them.
Driving home last night, what was it? We left at like 9.
Yeah.
And there are kids playing baseball on baseball fields. It was raining. You're Friday nights or Saturday. They play them all the time.
Tournaments. Look, man, we were like tournaments. We played. Tournament we played last week, the West Omaha Classic. We get to play at UNO at the Connie Clausen softball field last Saturday. Last Sunday, it was awesome. It was the coolest thing ever. Kids loved it. It was amazing.
Do parents behave themselves for the most part?
For the most part, we've seen some situations where parents get a little too intense for 8-year-old baseball. It's a little too much.
It's so funny.
It's like they're 8 years old.
But the crazy thing is, like, I always felt I did a great job of keeping it all in perspective and look back at my job as a baseball dad for 14 years.
Who's the announcer?
So I'm pretty good, but there was one time. There was one time. It was like, it's funny. It's just things will trigger you. Like, and I was such a mild guy, and like,
You know, a 14-year-old rough.
I wasn't quite that bad, but so it was like, I think my kid was like maybe 7th grade or something like that, 8th, and he was like really pushing. He was having a great year and a great batting average and all that sort of thing, and this one ump had been, poor fellow. I don't think he could see very well. And so Jack was the last batter, and there were 2 strikes, and we were like, like down by 1 run or whatever, and he was really having a good hitting year and all that. And so he's like this, and it's a bat, and the pitch comes in. Here's Jack's head. It comes in like this. Comes in like this, and they're like, strike 3, you're out. I may have lost it.
Do you eject?
But that was the old. I didn't get ejected, but that was the old game was over. But that was the only time in 14 years of baseball fatherhood that I probably was a little lippy.
a lot more as we get cranked up for the new week. Hey, baby is born in
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Magid are with you today, and we are brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. If you are looking for an outstanding leadership and confidence building experience, a communication and physical fitness type experience, check out Cheer Athletics. There are about 12 or 13 of them in the nation. Fortunately, one of them is right here in Omaha, near Highways 50 and 370 in Papillion. Do a great job getting kids to learn how to compete and be very physically fit and get tremendous life experiences. Check out CA Omaha, CA as in Cheer Athletics, caomaha.com. We have with us Heath Mello. He is the president and CEO of the Greater Omaha Chamber, and we periodically like to have the head of the chamber in just kind of talk about Omaha growth and development. Heath, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be with you, Jeff. Trenton, thanks so much.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time, and we always like to start with big, broad questions. How's Omaha doing right now?
Well, it's always sunny in Omaha is what I like to say. Hearing some of the stuff that you shared, we're at the beginning of the tourism part of the summer. We've been riding a pretty amazing wave, I would say, over the last few months of everything from the Forbes #1 ranking of the best city to move to. Livability.com named us one of the top cities, most livable cities in the country. You just mentioned U.S. News and World Report's rankings. I mean, we've really been riding, I would say, a pretty amazing positive news cycle over the last 4 to 5 months. But the work always continues, so to speak. And, at the Greater Omaha Chamber, our economic development work really focuses an awful lot on what we do in terms of business recruitment and business expansion work. And we've really put a lot of effort in 2024 on the first quarter and second quarter so far on our business expansion work. Typically, we always see a lot of business attraction work happen throughout the year, but we've really stepped up, focusing a lot on what we're doing for our local businesses in Omaha in the early part of the year, which is we typically do that in the second half of the year, but we really tried to change things up a little bit, and we've seen some new projects come to work, which is something that's a little unique in terms of our own cycle. So, 140 visits across the region and saw some earlier project wins, which is nice. Right now, we've seen about 39 new to market, or 39, I would say, business attraction projects that we've opened files on so far, 27 new to market projects, 11 existing projects that are kind of, I would say, business attraction projects, so to speak, and one startup for the region. So really kind of on track, I would say, typically in regards to where we see our numbers in terms of business attraction to the region. But things seem to be moving kind of in the typical kind of numbers of how we like to track what we're doing in terms of that business expansion and business attraction space. But the bigger thing I'd share is the really thing that's caught me off guard in the first couple quarters is the significant amount of international engagement we've had. And I just don't, this is new, I'm just finishing my 10th in this role. And it's been an amazing experience. And I've been asking folks if we've typically seen this kind of international engagement. We've had a tremendous amount of German companies that have come to Omaha over the last 3 months, particularly a number of German manufacturers, particularly agricultural manufacturers that have been coming to the Omaha area wanting to explore setting up corporate headquarters, wanting to explore clearly manufacturing facilities. We've seen some Finnish companies as well, some Austrian companies, things that I've asked our economic development team, which is just something that's unique in the terms of the amount of international engagement that we haven't seen in this short amount of time. And it's part of that, I think, winning formula about the Greater Omaha area, that clearly we have a track record of having a great environment for our sites, for clearly our workforce, cost of living, and clearly what we would typically like to say, that secret sauce about the Greater Omaha area, which is what we've got in terms of our people, our place, and to some extent what we offer our companies.
So I remember when we've got a plethora of data centers over the last 15, 20 years, and they cited workforce, cost of utilities, cost of land, what these international companies, they're coming to Omaha, and what are the other comments about the business climate in Omaha? Are they not looking at other places because Omaha is better, or how does Omaha get on the radar?
Well, and I should have mentioned this earlier, Trent. A lot of our new to market projects that we're seeing, and I can't, you both know some of the confidentiality aspects with our economic development work I've got to be careful of. A lot of our new to market projects that we've seen so far this year, about 50% of them so far are related to manufacturing or some connection also to transportation and logistics. So we still are seeing manufacturing overall being a driving force of our new to market projects. So for reasons that we're seeing, the manufacturing industry is looking to the greater Omaha area as a hub to want to locate new manufacturing facilities.
We do some manufacturing, but I wouldn't say that we're known for being a lot of manufacturing. That's what I find interesting about it, Jeff.
I think the what we're finding out as much as anything else. One, it's some of the sites that we do have are good sites in the region. Two, we do clearly have. I just heard the CEO from Omaha Public Power District reiterate some really great data the other day, which is if you took our unique power structure and our unique kind of rates that Omaha Public Power District has in our region in comparison to other national rates in other competitive cities, OPPD saves our ratepayers about $400 million a year. And so when you think about the rate savings that we, the three of us as ratepayers in Omaha Public Power, the amount of money we save being in Omaha, imagine that impact it has as a manufacturer. And so that cost savings for a company, whether you're a commercial, whether you're you own a commercial property or an industrial property, is significant. So clearly, energy utilization and energy usage also is a driving factor for manufacturers as well. And then workforce. I mean, that's the one thing, whether you hear Governor Pillen say it, whether you hear Mayor Stothert say it, it's something we highlight a lot as well. We have truly a very, very strong workforce when it comes to certain sectors. The manufacturing sector is one of them that you talk to any manufacturer, they're always looking to add to the workforce. That is perhaps kind of a double-edged sword for us right now. We find out in talking to companies that some companies could grow faster if we could help speed up some of the training, some of the education opportunities to get other additional employees or other additional residents into workforce programs related to manufacturing quicker, because then they could speed up their hiring process to get more employees in the pipeline for existing companies. So that is always a little bit of a challenge for us, is bringing in a new manufacturer that wants to hire, let's for an example, hire 200 people in Blair. And the reality is, hey, it's great for us to bring in a higher wage manufacturing jobs in Blair. But the reality is we've also got to be able to help find and train some additional people to go into manufacturing because we know that other companies are also looking for more folks in manufacturing also. And so it's something that we're constantly thinking about, constantly looking at, and we're trying to figure out a way to do that.
All right, we're having a conversation with Heath Mello, President and CEO of the Greater Omaha Chamber. Much more to come, several things we want to talk about with Heath related to Omaha growth and development. Stay with us. We're going to break for the news and then be back. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
I would think what you're talking about, like Metro and a lot of the local UNO technology and all that kind of stuff. Who's coordinating? Does the chamber get involved in the coordination of those training opportunities? Workforce development.
So, ironically, it's a great question where we are we're going through a strategic planning process right now. It's kind of our next 3-year kind of economic development strategy for the next 3 years. In talent attraction and talent retention and development are kind of rising to the top with a lot of our stakeholders and a lot of our chamber investors kind of asking us to say, hey, we know the chamber's economic development
bread and butter, the things that you do day in, day out that separates the chamber from everyone else in the region is business attraction, business retention, and expansion. That is what you do that no one else does. But we really want you to start finding ways to facilitate and convene more in that talent, attraction, retention, and development space, realizing you've got Heartland Workforce Solutions, which is our regional kind of workforce development entity. You've got MCC, you've got the Exarban Foundation, you've got a host of great entities doing work, but it's more of how do you get all of these great folks doing these great programs, just making sure we're all talking together around one big table to make sure that if it's manufacturing, I mean, that's our big thing is we're going to bring a manufacturer to Blair. We've got to make sure we're getting all 4 or 5 of the entities that could be touching the manufacturing space in Blair to make sure we're all working together and it's not just MCC going alone, so to speak.
And I know that I think we talked about last time you were here, and has there been more focus on getting people to come here and giving them incentives, whether it's a forgivable loan or things like that? Some of those big stakeholders you think that would make a lot of sense.
So I know that was something we chatted about. So Governor Pillen, that was a legislative priority of ours that we were working on. Governor Pillen ultimately, ironically, it was serendipitously from our conversation, introduced a bill of his own to give a tax credit towards new, to individuals who moved here or moved to Nebraska for a job that gave them essentially a $5,000 tax credit if the company paid a certain wage, and I think the wage was $75,000 or more. And essentially, you get a tax credit over a certain number of years, as well as you get a tax credit for moving expenses to move to Nebraska.
Nice.
So they capped it. The only struggle is that we supported it. It was a big priority for us. It got passed, but they capped it at like $1 million as kind of a pilot to see how is
the total
tax
so you had to
for
get
the
in
whole
there.
state.
So you had to get it in there.
They'll go fast.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, hey, companies, if you're going to try to recruit folks in, like your people, if you try to recruit 100 people in, it's like, hey, you're going to have limitations then in terms of how.
Will they get savings over like 5 years or something? So once you're in the program, you're in the program.
You're in the program, yeah. So
Because because 10,000, there'd be 100, so that's only 200 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's the reality is but they want to see how it go. I mean, that was the whole intent is we
It's a
want to
test,
see how this works and if it's going to help draw in people, because as we were talking like Little Rock, you've got other cities, Tulsa, city governments and city economic development departments are doing this to bring in people, and they're doing that $5,000, $10,000 number, and so the state experimented with it. We loved it. We would have loved it. Was a much higher. I mean, it was like a $10 million number, and they backed it off. But we were very excited that it got passed, and so we're going to see how it works out. And
So that's for 1 year.
a couple. I think it's for a couple of years. They're doing it for a couple of years and seeing how it's going.
Hopefully they renew it and expand
$1
it.
million per year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So they could. They blow through it in 2 months. It's
going to be there. It's going to be there ongoing. Yeah, for a while and
Okay.
test it out for. I think they're going to test it out. I think for 3 years to see how it's going to go.
Well, that's 200 families we wouldn't have otherwise.
What do you want to touch on next?
I thought when we come back, I was going to bring up a little workforce development. I thought it might be kind of fun to talk about the impact that the airport expansion could have on development if you're comfortable talking about that at all. And we can talk a little bit about downtown, what's happening downtown, and anything else. This next segment will go by like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but anything else that's on your list that you want to, if there's anything you want to make sure you bring up.
You know,
the expertise to transform your space.
look, there's some other good things. I mean, look, there's some other. I think we, urban core. Site development, I think, folks. I mean, like with the airport business park.
Oh yeah. Maybe do that instead of the airport talk. Yeah.
Airport business park.
Everyone loves that.
My
Not controversial at all.
my favorite issue, the airport business park.
Did he have you on or something?
No, he wanted to get me on. He's a good man. I love Scott. He's my friend.
We got that on tape.
He's my
Yeah,
friend.
that is recorded.
He's my friend. He
That's
is.
going to be the
All
next
good.
promo show for
That's
the
right.
Scott Voorhees promo bit for the Scott Voorhees show.
Right.
That would probably be. I honestly like that kind of some of the urban core, airport, and then just kind of some of the site development stuff's pretty important because it does involve North Omaha, involves some of the site development issues that we're
I'll live with that.
talking about.
Okay.
Streetcars are talked enough about, you think? Or?
I mean, if he wants to throw it in, he can. But we'll start with site development and maybe go into urban core stuff. And then if we have time, we could bring up some workforce stuff that we were kind of just talking about off air, which is kind of on air for people that watch the video.
Otherwise, look, that's good to hear. Mayor Kindig, he's the Astro, everything they're doing down there
It's nice.
I mean,
In the Southport area.
in South. So I worked with Mayor Kindig when I was a state senator, and he was one of the best economic development mayors. I ever worked with.
He and I are tight, and we talk about this stuff, and he's very
Here we go, guys.
pro-development, but smart development.
Yes.
Traffic updates with Lucy Chapman in the morning and Steve Parker in the afternoon. This is Nebraska's news, weather, and traffic station. News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Well, we want to thank Dingman's Collision Center for being one of our sponsors. They have 4 metro area locations. It doesn't matter which one you choose because they're all great. Dingman's works on your car. They're famous for body work, bumps, bruises, scratches, scrapes, serious damage to cars. They do all of that, but they also have a mechanical function as well. Dingman's Collision Center, constantly a Best of Omaha winner and a sponsor of Grow Omaha. Also, thanks to Cheer Athletics for being a sponsor of the show. It's time for your Noddle Company's commercial real estate spotlight of the week, real estate development spotlight of the week, I should say. And this week we go to the Builders District in North Downtown. And I was driving in the Builders District just a couple of days ago, and I noticed construction progress on the new public amenity park that Noddle Companies is putting in the Builders District. So if you're thinking, okay, where is this Builders District? Picture Charles Schwab Field, go a couple blocks to the west. Kiewit has its global headquarters there, as well as Kiewit University. A lot of things happening in that area. Noddle Companies just kind of wrapped up construction on a beautiful mass timber 5-story office building. But on the west side of 16th Street, Noddle Companies is going to put in a small, you could call it a pocket park, mini park, but heavy on amenities. It's going to be very similar to the little park they did in Exarban Village, where Sunny's the Airstream is, and you get the cornhole games and all that stuff. And when I was driving by this week, it looked like they were testing the big screen. And there's going to be this big screen right in the middle of it. Now, the park's still a little ways off. There's still, dirt there. They got some work to do, but it's coming along, and it's looking great. And we want to thank Noddle Companies for not only doing that project, but for being a sponsor of the show. They've been with us for many years, and they are perhaps Omaha's best-known developer. Big projects. There's Exarban Village, River's Edge in Council Bluffs, Steel Ridge in the Papillion-Gretna area. They're also famous for headquarters buildings, HDR headquarters, Valmont headquarters. Those are just 2 of the most recent headquarter buildings they've done. You can learn more about them at noddlecompanies.com. We have Heath Mello with us, President and CEO of the Greater Omaha Chamber. And Heath, I want to talk a little bit about site development. It's so important. In the last segment, you were talking about these manufacturers, some of them even from Europe. They're looking at locating in Omaha. Got to have a place to put them. How are we doing with site development?
Well, you know what, Jeff, that is always a significant issue that we're thinking about from both an Omaha perspective as well as from our Greater Omaha Economic Development Partnership perspective. From an Omaha perspective, we continually do struggle in the city of Omaha boundaries for industrial sites, particularly. The one big opportunity we do have on the horizon is the airport business park development opportunity that has been in the news, I would say, over the last 6 months or so in the North Omaha area around the airport. The legislature took some activity and took some action on that over this past legislative session with Senator Wayne, Senator McKinney, and Governor Pillen. They found a compromise moving forward with a number of issues. We think there's a process that's moving forward now that everyone feels comfortable with. We're going to see some of that moving forward with Mayor Stothert and the City Council in the next week or so with the creation of the city's new Inland Port Authority. That will have a process that kicks off the creation of that new authority where this airport business park will start to get created. And so from a chamber's perspective, that's going to be a multi-year process for us to be able to see those number of lots for us to be able to see industrial development in North Omaha near the airport, which is a tremendous opportunity for the city of Omaha. In the surrounding areas, there are some major opportunities in Fremont, in Blair, in Plattsmouth, in Nebraska City, areas that we are seeing more and more of those manufacturing companies want to come in and explore some tremendous opportunities. Sarpy County, we're seeing a number of our Go Ready sites starting to come up through that process to be able to be certified for potential site readiness for some major projects. So that is the one thing that we've been putting a little bit more time and energy on, is making sure we have some sites available for more and more of these new to market projects. Perhaps probably the one positive thing that I know some folks have been putting a lot of time and energy on in the region is a mega site. I know this was something that's been on the show for a number of years, is if we ever wanted to compete for a major manufacturer, I mean an auto manufacturer of microchips, so to speak, as Trent said, we don't have a site available anywhere in the region. The legislature this year, through the work of Senator Mike McDonald, Senator Mike Jacobson out in North Platte, Senator Julie Slama in Peru, they were able to get a study done, essentially, which essentially is going to put $500,000 to study mega sites in potential locations across the state where we know there's some potential mega sites in the 2nd Congressional District area, as well as some areas in the 1st Congressional District that is in the kind of Cass County area and in the Otoe County area as well. And so there's going to be some opportunities where the state's going to put some resources in, identify potential opportunities for us to see some of these very, very large sites that could position our region, the greater Omaha metro region, for some of these major projects, whether it's an auto manufacturer, a microchip processor, where I would have told you a couple years ago, I would have never thought we would get the state position to be able to do that. And that's something that's a real, I think, positive for the region.
Especially when it comes to economic development. Traditionally, especially when we saw it with all the data centers and stuff, where there was ready sites that your economic development team at the chamber we're talking to farmers, we're talking to the engineers, and it's a big thing about getting sewer to a lot of Sarpy County. How you're obviously continuing to do that. Do they define what a mega site is?
In the legislation, they define a mega site. I believe they define a mega site as larger than 1,000 acres is kind of what they're looking at. And then they kind of differentiate it in regards to sites that are between like 500 acres to like 800 acres. I mean, they have different classifications in terms of, because they're looking at potential sites out in western Nebraska aren't going to be 1,000 acres. So they're trying to find ways to identify certain mega sites in certain areas of the state that would be of different sizes, so that projects maybe in a North Platte would qualify, quote unquote, as a mega site in comparison to a mega site here in the metro area, which would maybe be a lot different based on our population and our workforce availability.
Let's spend a couple minutes talking about the urban core. And by the way, we're interviewing Heath Mello, head of the Greater Omaha Chamber. Heath, if you go downtown Omaha today, you're going to see the new Mutual of Omaha Tower elevator and stair shaft sheer towers getting up to about 16 or 17 stories. The more action we have downtown, the more we want more.
We've got sites.
Yes.
What's the latest of the urban core?
I think the big thing is, last time I got to see you at a press conference, Jeff, was the Duo. I think we were all really excited about the Duo project right there on the streetcar line. In terms of one of the large, if not the largest, new housing project in the urban core, right across the street from the new Mutual of Omaha headquarters. I can tell you there's a number of other housing projects that are kind of in the works. I can't really share at this point in time that likely will be coming out. I wouldn't be surprised you'll hear some more from City Hall here in the coming weeks and months. Clearly, some of the things that we're looking at, there's some of those those new market projects I mentioned earlier are looking at some commercial spaces in the urban core that we're really excited about that we've been working on. That would be some projects that could have a real potential big impact of bringing in some not just new companies, but clearly some new workers and new employees to the downtown area. That is exactly what the strategy is and what the strategy called for when we wanted to bring not just 30,000 new residents, but 30,000 new jobs to the urban core, which is really, really exciting. But I always take an opportunity when I can just to kind of highlight, when folks are able to go downtown, whether it's this weekend, the Taste of Omaha is going on, next, it's those kind of activities that we constantly are seeing. Folks are going to be seeing and hearing a lot more about the modern streetcar, a variety of, you're going to see the cranes that are going to keep coming up with different projects. The Baby Bob Bridge is kind of coming to its last phases, so to speak, before the College World Series starts in a few weeks. The Wall Street Journal released a story, literally, I think it was about 6 to 7 weeks ago, about St. Louis's downtown in the Doom Loop. And every chance I can get, I never like to highlight another friendly city of ours. And St. Louis, Kansas City, Des Moines, we're all partners in a lot of ways and a lot of what's happening in the Midwest. But the Wall Street Journal did an expose in their downtown and called it the downtown Doom Loop in terms of what's happening in their inability to fill commercial real estate in their downtown. And, we've had a number of out of town, East Coast, West Coast, of visitors coming in for some consultants working on a variety of different projects, different speakers who've just made mention of not just that article, but have come around and taken tours and have just remarked about how vibrant our downtown core is in terms of people who are working, who are eating, who are spending time during those working hours between the hours of 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock in our downtown area. Because they have remarked, if you go to a lot of major cities, you're going to the downtown area, people aren't there. People are working remotely. People are not, restaurants aren't being utilized. And they said this is something they just haven't seen a lot of. And
killing cities.
And they said it's killing cities. And they said this is something that Omaha, you should be very proud of. It's something that as a business community, this is something you should be celebrating. And it's something that you should be highlighting more and more, not just as a chamber of commerce, but candidly as an overall community. And you should be reinforcing that to your employees. You should be reinforcing to your business owners. And overall, it's something that we should be reinforcing more and more, that it's making us more competitive to bringing in more economic development and more companies to our community.
Well, Heath, we appreciate you joining us as always. We'll have you back in a few months, and you can update us with what else is going on. But thanks to you and your colleagues down at the Chamber for doing everything you guys possibly can to grow our economy and our community.
That's great. Thanks so much. Glad to be with you guys.
Heath Mello, CEO and president of your Greater Omaha Chamber. Going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it'll be the lightning round. A lot of things on the list to talk about. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Great stuff.
Yeah, good stuff, Heath. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it. Yeah, always good. We could have gone for another hour.
No, that's St. Louis story. I tell you what,
Doom Loop,
Doom Loop, man.
45-story building down there, sold for $205 million a few years ago, sold for $4 million.
I literally, every opportunity I get, I bring that story up.
Yeah,
And I have had more and more.
You just got to keep building on what we have.
Everybody who comes in, like every national person comes in, they're just like, they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing here that's making people come to work? And the people are like, they're particularly it's the old Jingle, it's the Jingle.
So what you need to do?
And that 10th Street
And that 10th
corridor.
Street, like,
And
they're
that
saying,
10th Street
like,
corridor.
what are you doing there? People are
You get a table. You get stakeholders and foundations of billionaires, and each of them give 15 million. So it starts out like that. Once you have 400 million committed.
So St. Louis, so I've been tracking this because they've got, like, my counterpart there is he's a tremendous guy. Jason Hall is like he's a great, amazing leader. But the mayor of St. Louis, like, after that story came out, like, they had like a panic.
They're devastated.
They were like devastated. So they had like a panic attack, and they like called, like, they had like like an emergency where they had like came out like a big press conference and they had like an emergency. We're going to create like a 100-day plan to kind of figure out and reinvigorate our downtown. And so they've been working on this like.
But ours is like continuously working.
That publicity was a disaster for them.
It was nuts.
So I was like, so I've been doing. I was in St. Louis a couple months ago. Disaster downtown, but I was in San Diego 3 weeks ago, and San Diego 3 weeks ago, and Cleveland too. And Cleveland downtown is all the problems you think. Although they are building Sherwin-Williams, a new skyscraper down there, but for the most part, struggling. San Diego was interesting because when you're down by the tourist area, fine, good as always. Yeah. Go up by the office buildings, dead. Yeah. The office buildings, dead. And kind of scary to walk around because there's no one but street people.
It's been 2 months of I've been hearing it nonstop, and so like after I heard it the first like 3 times, I kind of was like, is this normal? Like that everybody from out of town is saying like, how do you get people to come down here all the time during the workday?
Berkshire Hathaway, a guy from Cleveland was like amazed of all our cranes and everything else, and he's like, God, if I didn't have this job, I'd move to Omaha. It's like he was just saying Cleveland blows.
Yeah, just wait and just wait till we get a couple more of these spin-off projects from the Mutual Tower and the streetcar.
Hopefully, what is Arun calling the
Civic Square?
Civic Square.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll get going.
They're waiting on one. I think he's waiting. I mean, I think he's waiting. I think they're waiting on one kind of aspect of it. One big potential thing. So
yeah.
Well, the governor's ideas have been pretty much shot to hell. Is there any other way to lower property taxes that could actually get passed? It's the Rosie Did You Nosy on the podcast page under Jim Rose.
Well, thank you, Jim, and welcome back, everyone. It is time for your lightning round, which is brought to you by Perkins Kreitzer Construction. PC Construction is a full-service Class A contractor doing amazing projects here in Omaha, but also Grand Island, Norfolk, Kearney, Lincoln, Sioux City, all over this area of eastern Nebraska and western Iowa. Led by our good friend Dave Kreitzer. They do a bang-up job with any type of construction, office, big mixed-use projects, institutional, religious, all of that. But lately we've been talking a lot about some of the retail work they've been doing, you know, the Jersey Mike stores and the Thirst Tea, iced tea places and all that. But they do a great job. If you are looking for a contractor that you can trust, that does outstanding work and does it at a fair price and in a short amount of time, talk to Dave Kreitzer and his team over at Perkins Kreitzer Construction. All right, big list. OsteoStrong opening June 14th. This will be the first Nebraska franchise. 100,050 Regency Circle. So one of those office buildings south of the Westroads. Wellness center that helps people develop bone strength and density. Met the local franchise owner, Dave John, this week. This company started in Houston, locations around the world. Closest existing is in Sioux City, Iowa. Cumbia is coming back.
Yes, we're excited.
Colombian restaurant on the 16th Street Mall, closed in November, opening up here this summer. They're coming back. Also downtown, Orange Leaf Frozen Yogurt, going to open a location inside the Holiday Inn at 1420 Cumming Street. It'll be right next to Burger Theory. In fact, you can get into it from the Holiday Inn lobby or even through the Burger Theory. There'll be a separate door from Burger Theory, so you can get your froyo after having a burger. Macadoodles is open.
That's exciting.
72nd and Grover. This is a very cool liquor, beer, and spirit superstore out of Missouri. 11 existing locations. All of them were in Missouri or Arkansas. So this one is the first in Nebraska.
And if you're wondering where that is, Macadoodles is right around the corner from the 4.5 acres that John Meyer and I have listed. You can put apartments there. You can put office there. Right at 70th and Grover. De
Leon's Taco Rico opened a new location at 3021 South 84th Street this week. They've got another one coming in mid-June in the former Green Beans coffee space at 3512 Sampson Way in Bellevue. Little King has opened its 7th location in Heartwood Preserve, southwest of 144th and Dodge. And Trenton, this will bring us back to our youth. Spencer's Gifts.
Can you believe that?
Spencer's Gifts plans to open a store in Council Bluffs Metro Crossing Development next to famous.
They're coming out of the hills for that one.
They still have one in Westroads Mall, so you can get your inappropriate party favorite
And your black
gifts.
light.
I loved that place when I was a kid.
Black light's the coolest.
It was you could go to get a whoopee cushion or a hand buzzer, among other things. Costco Wholesale will officially open its third Omaha area store at 8 o'clock a.m. exactly on Friday, July 12th. We have so many people emailing Grow Omaha asking about that. We're telling you all, Friday, July 12th at 8 o'clock a.m., southeast corner, 180th and West Maple Road. All right, Tanner's Bar and Grill, 173rd and West Center Road is closing for good on June 10th, but it won't stay vacant for long. Early Bird, the local breakfast and brunch place, will open in there sometime later this year. Now, Tanner's will keep open their locations near 119th and Pacific and 156th and West Maple Road. This will be Early Bird's fourth Omaha area location.
Great.
Nice mix, nice reuse, wouldn't you say? Congratulations to Coneflower Creamery. They have been nominated as, for the second consecutive year, they've been nominated as one of 20 independent ice cream shops nationwide to be part of the USA Today's 10 Best list. Last year, the local shop finished in 5th place. That was a travesty of justice. It should be first place.
Coneflower is awesome.
That is good. Now, so they have the location in the Blackstone district, and then I also love that location they have in
Millwork Commons.
Millwork Commons, yes, absolutely.
There's some rumors that they're coming west, ladies and gentlemen. I'm guessing Elkhorn.
We hope it's true. The music is playing, so we're going to go wrap it up for today, but appreciate everyone joining us. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, Cheer Athletics, and Perkins Kreitzer Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.